Okay, now I'm facing the right direction. Let's see. This is my first time ever going live, so I am just trying to find it on my laptop so I can see your comments. Bear with me. Okay, if somebody can do me a favor and leave a comment so that I can... Thank you, Anita. Hopefully I see that. Oh, nope. Okay, so there are 13 of you guys on right now. Can you guys hear me? I never checked the volume on this thing, so... Okay, so we are going to get started. Sorry I'm a little late, technical difficulties. So I am Tammy. I am one of the mods here at Swoon. You've met a couple of our other mods doing other lives, Shanova and Monica. So those lovely ladies have experienced sewing bags, have made many, many Swoon bags, and I have made maybe 3. I've completed 3, and no, you can't see those 3. So I figured that there were a lot of people who have questions, the same questions that I had, because last week we had that beginner post and there was a lot of questions about interfacing, first of all. So we're going to touch on that for a little bit, but Shanova will actually be going through and making a video all about interfacing. So I'll give you just the basics so you know what to look for. And so we're going to start off with materials. So what I'm reading off of right now, I will make sure to put in the files of the group, and I'll see if I can put it as a post in the event too, so you guys can look for it. But there are links on there that you can click on, see where it's sold online, the actual products that I or one of the mods use, and nothing is affiliated, by the way. So we will start off with materials, what you need. So obviously you need fabric, right? And if you sew, you have a ton of fabric. So one of the things that we use is, obviously, quilting cotton. So this is just regular quilting cotton that you can get from Joann or fabric.com or whatever website it is. It's just normal 100% cotton. It's pretty thin. You can see the light through it. So this wouldn't be very good on a bag by itself because it doesn't really give you any support. It's really flimsy. So what you want to do is put some interfacing on it. Please tell me I interfaces some pieces. Okay. So here is an example of a Lola piece that I cut out. So here's one of the middles, or sides, sorry, the outside exterior. And what I am going to put onto it is this. So you can't really tell. Let me get a little closer. Maybe you can. There's two sides to this. So there's the flat, smooth side. And then there's the rough, bumpy, kind of feels like fine sandpaper. And this is the side with the fusible adhesive on it. So this is the side that you would put wrong side down to your quilting cotton wrong side down. So I would take this. This is my fabric. The bumpy side is going to touch the wrong side of my quilting cotton. And I'm going to fuse it like this. So this gives it a little more body. Definitely gives it more structure. There are other things that you can add for structure, which I also have. So for the Lola, it asks for foam. So fusible foam is what many people use, and that's what you see. This is not fusible foam. This is actually headliner material. You can find this at Joann and probably a bunch of other places. I don't know where else, but it is the material that goes into the interior of cars. So like when you get into a car and you touch the roof, like that's what this stuff is. So I like to cut it out. And because you don't want to get this in the seam allowance when you're actually sewing your pattern, I went through and I serged the edges to kind of take off a little bit of the extra seam allowance, and I compressed it. See how it's thinner on the edges? That way I still get the full thickness on the middle, but then on the edge, it's thinner, so it's less for my machines to power through. And when you make handles or straps, a lot of instructions say if you use like quilting cotton or something to put interfacing on it to make it sturdier. But if you're using something like vinyl that's a little thicker, you don't have to use interfacing on your straps. So this is vinyl. I cut this from a roll that I got from my Punk Broidery, and that will be in my links. So I have 4 of these cut out, and for straps, generally they are folded to make them slightly thicker, and then you usually top stitch the outsides to hold the folds in place. I had mentioned headliner foam. This is just another example. This is a remnant that I had left. So it's just foam on the inside. And then 2 pieces of, I don't know, it feels like Trico or some other cheap whatever, just adhered to it. So it's stuck together. So if you use headliner or something, you're going to sew it in. So essentially what you want to do is trap it in between layers. So I would have my Lola foam go in with my Lola. So I would pin this or clip this in place first. And then I would take the fusible interfacing, put that side down, and it's going to sandwich the foam with the actual material. So, yes, you can definitely use a zigzag stitch, just zigzag over the edge if you don't have a serger. That's fine. You just want to compress the edges down. So, and this is why you want to compress the edges down and make sure that you cut some off to make it smaller, because what you want at the end is for this to be completely centered in your fabric and touching just the interfacing on the edges. So if it did that, it would be like that. So I don't know if you can see through it or not, but my edges are touching, and the foam or headliner doesn't start till down here, which is fine because then this will adhere to this, and then that's where you're going to sew, and you don't have to mess with the foam part. So what we use is Shape Flex if you buy Pelon, so that's what we call SF101. Or you can use different woven interfacing. So the generic for it is woven interfacing. I know there are different equivalents of them, of that out there, but Pelon is the most commonly used, but it is not the cheapest. So you'll go to the store and you'll be like, why don't I buy this other interfacing that is a hell of a lot cheaper than this $6.99 of 22-inch width woven interfacing? Does it really matter? Yes, it matters. So this is another piece of quilting cotton that I had cut out, and I actually interfaced it with non-woven fusible interfacing. So this is like, I don't even know how to describe this. It's like the texture of, if anybody has used like the easy or pattern tracing paper from Pelon, it kind of feels like that, where it's not paper, it doesn't tear really, but it's not woven where you can see like the actual strands of thread going through. So the problem with non-woven is, if you can see, it is not straight. So it is not flat. It's not because I didn't iron it correctly, but it tends to crease or bubble, and it doesn't really give the same kind of body to this. It makes it feel cheaper. So, and when you crumple it, it will hold the wrinkles. So you don't really want that. Another option is to use home decor fabric. So I forgot where I got this, maybe Joann's. So Joann always has like 60% off outdoor home deck fabric, whatever. So that's what you want. So anything that is thicker than your usual quilting cotton would work. So this one is like an outdoor fabric, and you can kind of, like, it's a weightier. So it would require, probably I wouldn't interface this with SF101. Depends on what the actual bag that I'm making is. But this is a lot easier because you can skip the interfacing step. So vinyl, these are also from My Punk Embroidery. This is a sheet of her vinyl. So this vinyl in particular has like a kind of fleecy back, and it's not very thick at all, but it does have body, so you can tell when I kind of wave it. And then her rolls come in this. I believe it's 54 inches long, and I just want to show you this one really quick because it's really pretty. I love this. I got this as my mystery roll last week. Placed 2 orders there in like 3 days. It was ridiculous. What else do we have? Cork. Cork is another product that you can use. It's something that is really popular right now, but it is also not cheap. So this cork in particular I got from Joann. And please, for the love of God, do not buy anything from Joann without a coupon. Don't pay more than 50% of retail price, ever. So this is the cork. You can see this one's got some nice metallic accents in it. And the back is similar to that sheet of vinyl. It's like really kind of fleecy. And Monica brings up a great point. I actually have that somewhere. This is what I use for basting spray. It is called Pattern Stick. It is temporary adhesive spray. So you can use this. I would try to keep it out of where I know my needle's going to be so that it doesn't gum up the needle. But I also use this when I do, well, I used to use this when I did apparel patterns. I would spray it on there, and because I hated using pins, but I'm going to show you what I do now at the end. Ottertex waterproof canvas. Crap, forgot to grab that. Hang on. I don't know if you can iron cork. Monica? And this is canvas. So canvas, again, very similar to the home deck fabric, where it is thicker, has more body, it's heavier. You can see the weight when I wave it around. And you also don't have to interface that. So other interfacing or stabilizers that you may need to use. So there is fleece. So the fleece looks like this. I think this one is either Peltex Fusible Fleece or Peltex Thermolam, but you can kind of see the texture of it. It is like, well, fleece, and it is bumpy on one side, smoother on the other side, and of course the bumpy side is always the one that touches the wrong side of the fabric that you're adhering it to. But I also don't like fusing this on because I find that it tends to move. So I'll do the same thing with the sandwich that I do with the foam. Where's my bag? Oh. Something else that is commonly used, especially for bases, is, this is Peltex, or actually Decoville. So Decoville, there's two kinds. There's regular Decoville, and then there's Decoville Light. So some people refer to it as Decoville Heavy and Decoville Light. This is Decoville Heavy. So it is thicker. This is for the bottom of the Lola bag. So that's what this looks like. Or you could use something like Peltex, which is super, super heavy, and it's like probably double this. And you definitely don't want to sew through that. So make sure that that stays out of your seam allowance and cut it a little smaller than your piece. And now we're going to talk about hardware. Actually, I'm going to drink break first. So this is a latch lock. This one I got from Hobby Lobby. If you buy any notions from Hobby Lobby, only buy it when they're having a Sewology Sewing Notions half off sale, which they do like every 2-3 weeks, it feels like. But this is one of their purse clasps or locks. So this is the front that goes on the exterior of your bag. On the back, there are these prongs. And then there's a washer that goes on the inside of your bag. So a lot of people suggest that you have on the inside of your bag, put like a little piece of the fleece. So say, this is my bag, this is the inside. Put a small square of fleece here. It doesn't have to be this big. And then when you cut your slits in here, then put that there. But it just helps stabilize the holes that you cut to put this in here. It makes it a little thicker so it's more stable. Hi, Christelle. These are zipper ends. So this is from Emmeline. It comes with the actual metal piece. I don't know if you can see, sorry if it's blurry. And then it comes with these little tiny screws. So what you do is you put your zipper end into the hole of the metal piece and then you screw it in. But if you don't want to trust just that, you can use this E6000. It is an adhesive. You can just put a drop into the end of the zipper end before you put your actual zipper into it, and then put the screw in. Or I guess you could do it the other way around, but it's going to be messier. So I would put this in first, put your zipper end in, then put the screw in. So these are purse feet. So this is the style that I have. This one just happens to be copper or rose gold, whatever you want to call it. So you're going to do the same. So with the bottom piece, you're going to cut a little slit, stick the prongs through the slit, take the washer that comes with the feet and put it on that side. So then pretend that there's holes there. I put this in, I bend the flaps. I can't remember if they say that. I think they say that you should bend the prongs inward so that it's less likely to loosen. And then you will have purse feet at the bottom of your bag. So these ones are a little more basic. So this is a slide adjuster, adjustable slider, whatever you want to call it. So it is just a rectangle with a piece of metal that can move. So think of like belt buckles, or you've seen this on straps on some other bags, or there's usually some plastic kind of version on a backpack. This is a D-ring. Pardon the thread, because it's shaped like a D. And this is a clasp, lobster claw, lobster clasp. People call it many things, but it has a little hinge there that you can attach to this. So something new that I just started using, I've had for a while, but I finally used last week on one of my hoodies, is a grommet. So grommets are if you want to like do laces, or if you want to do a big hole to put the strap through, something decorative. So think about those little white circles that come on a sheet, like they're like hole punch protectors or something like that. It basically just reinforces the paper where you have those 3 holes punched out. That's basically what this is. So there are 2 pieces to the grommet. You can tell one is taller, one is shorter. And then you will put one of them on one side of the fabric, like so. You put the other one on the other side of the fabric. I'm missing a step, I'll get to that. And then you take a mallet to it. Or a press if you're fancy. I can't remember if I have one or not. But before you do that, in order to make a hole, I got this little kit from Amazon. It will be on my Amazon shopping list that I give you guys. So it comes with most of these rivets, except for the rainbow and the rose gold. I added those in there. And then it comes with these tools. So it comes with this, there's two ends. There's a flat one and a concave one. So the concave one would go on a rivet where the dome is, because you don't want to flatten the dome, because then it'll smush and look crooked. So it goes like this. And you would basically take a hammer or a mallet, I suggest a rubber mallet, and you would tap on this in order to get it to stick to the bottom piece of that. But in order to make the hole, there's this tool. It's basically, I don't know, a piece of metal that's hollow on the bottom third, and it's kind of sharpish on the edge. There's a hollow hole in there. And what you do is you take the piece of fabric that you want to punch a hole into, you put it there like that. You have another hard surface underneath. I actually have a little mini wooden cutting board that I got from IKEA just for this purpose, and that would be underneath here. And then I would take a mallet, hit that, and then it punches a hole through here. And that is how I would feed my rivet through. And because I don't have something that can cut a larger hole like I would need for that grommet I showed you earlier, I usually just start off with that small hole, and then I'll take my snips and go in and kind of widen it a little bit in order to fit. So there might be a point where you want to use cam snaps. So cam snaps are the little plastic snaps. They look like this. They are often found on children's clothing, or, you know, maybe if you just want to make a coin purse and you don't want to use your metal hardware, you can use this. So each one has a different piece. It has a male piece and a female piece. It goes together. And then this is the handheld cam snap that goes with it. You can get these from the Cam Snaps website, or you can get it off Amazon. I got mine off Amazon. It will be on my list. Rubber mallet. Just go to the Dollar Tree. I'm pretty sure that's where I got this. Maybe. Whatever. And just get a rubber mallet. You will use this for you know, rivets, grommets. You'll use it to bang the heck out of your seams when you're trying to flatten it to fit it through your machine. A very, very useful tool. We did not talk about zippers. So you can use zippers that are pre-made. So the ones that already have stoppers on the top, the bottom, and the pole. Or you can buy them by the yard. So this one is by the yard. Forgot where I got this one. I think it's from Mormino. There should be a link on my sheet as well. And there are teeth, obviously, that just go, and it just continues. There's no pulls, no stoppers, anything. I could pull this whole entire length apart into two pieces if I wanted to. I don't want to. But this one, I believe, is nylon, so it's really easy to cut through. So you would just measure out. So say the pattern, it requires an 8-inch zipper. I would cut a 9-inch zipper. Give yourself a little extra room, because that's what traditional pre-made zippers have. They have a little extra fabric up here and at the top and at the bottom. And then you would take a zipper pull and attach it to your zipper after you cut it. So there are tutorials that will show you how to do that. I just feed it in until it finally works, but there are people out there that use forks, or they use forks to make like a little like zipper pull rig, and it feeds on really well. I'm just lazy. Yes, do not hit your fingers when you're hammering things. That hurts. Also on the topic of that, so thanks to Monica, and I believe Delva, she may have linked me to this particular one, but this here is a thread burner. It is amazing. I just like to play with it, but it does help as well. So this one is rechargeable. You can charge it with a micro USB, and then you flick that. It's so cool. So what you would use that for is you can burn the edges of your zipper. That way the fabric won't fray. There are zippers that are fraying on the sides. You can use them to finish off your threads. So like this. Oh my god, guys, if this light's on fire, I'm gonna not be happy. And then, because it kind of melted a little bit, it's not gonna fray. Some will, so you might still have to finish it off with maybe some fray check or something. And thread. So I'm linking a couple of different kinds of thread that you can use. So you can use your regular Grommet sew all thread. That's all I use for regular sewing. So whatever all-purpose thread that you have. But if you want your bag to last, or you're using thicker materials, or whatever, you just like the look of a thicker thread, this one is from Sunny Sewing. It is a Tex 70, and it is from the brand Amann, A-M-A-N-N. So this one's a cool little rainbow variegated thread. It's a little thicker than regular thread. And it is bonded nylon. So it is chemically bonded together somehow. Scientists did some magic, and it's actually stronger because they did their magic. Like, I'm not a scientist, sorry. But other thread that you can use can't find it now. But other threads that you can use are upholstery thread, top stitching thread. Those are generally thicker, so they can handle thicker fabrics. So this one is from Hobby Lobby. This is Sewology. I believe this is one of their top stitching threads. Comes on an orange spool instead. So then, you know, that's the materials that you need, or could need to make a bag. But then after you get all that and you decide what you're going to do with it pattern-wise, then you're going to cut it out. So you will need a self-healing cutting mat. We should all already have those. I always use a rotary cutter and a ruler. I will use scissors if it is something that is oddly shaped or on a curve. I'm not too good with rotary cutters on a curve. It just, I'm not. But this is one of my favorite rotary cutters. This is the Kai. And it usually has a plastic head over it. I don't know where it is, but it's okay because this one actually has a safeguard on it. So this black part right here, it actually retracts once you push it down. So it's only going to cut if there's pressure put down on it this way. My other favorite rotary cutter is the Martelli. It is ergonomical. It looks super weird. At first I got this, I'm like, how are you supposed to cut with this? Because I'd been so used to the other ones. But this one, you just hold like this. I am old at heart and I have carpal tunnel, so sometimes I can't hold the other ones, and these ones really help. I know Monica, I just happened to catch it in, I think, Sew Whatever, or one of the sewing groups, and he had just posted that it came in, and I was able to snag a roll. So, marking tools. So marking tools are the bane of my existence because I can never find one that I actually like enough to stick with. So, this is a friction pen. It is not made for sewing. Pilot, who makes friction pens, actually says, do not use this for sewing. A lot of people have said that the marks come back after it sits in colder weather for a little bit. So either use lighter colors or use it on the back or use it in the seam allowance where no one's going to see it. But I personally like to use other things more than that. This is a heat erase pen. I got this in a set of 4 with a bunch of refills. I will be linking this on the Amazon page as well. There's red, blue, black, and white. The white takes a little bit of coaxing to work on dark fabrics, but it does work. And when you iron it, it completely disappears. And I have not seen it come back, regardless of temperature. Other things that I use, I have no idea where my actual chalk marker is. Dang it. But these are the refills that go into it. So they're like tiny, slim little pieces of chalk that go inside a giant mechanical pencil looking thing that you just feed. I like this when it shows up. And this one is a Fons and Porter mechanical pencil. And this one is like your traditional mechanical pencil with like lead. I would say that the size of this looks like 0.7 or something like that. Whatever it is. But it comes with a couple of sticks of refillable thread. And then your typical Sharpie. I have Sharpies all over my house. Colors, thicknesses, everywhere. Oh, if you have a metal zipper, forgot to mention, you will need something like this. I suggest something that has the ability to cut right down here and has the ability to bend at the tip. So the tip's not going to cut anything, but the teeth or the sharp part down here will. So this I got from Harbor Freight, and it came in a set of like 4, 5, 6 different ones for like $8. So if you decide to use cotton lycra instead of woven, you still would want to use a woven interfacing, because what the woven interfacing is going to do is stop the cotton lycra from actually stretching out, so it'll hold its structure a little better. Okay, so now we talk about sewing. So presser feet, you have your walking foot. Let me see if I can take this off without ruining everything. Okay, the answer to that is no. But this is a walking foot. I know it's super hard to see because you are far away. I don't want to move the camera because then I'll have to readjust it and you guys will get dizzy. But it is just your normal walking foot. What a walking foot does is it has feet on the bottom of the presser foot that help guide multiple layers along with the feed dogs on your machine. So it will help feed thicker materials. It'll help feed things that are more slinky and slippery. It'll help feed when you have multiple layers, like if you're sewing a bag. So that will help. There are also Teflon feet. So Teflon feet or non-stick presser feet. This It's some kind of white material, probably Teflon, but it is supposed to slide easier on fabrics that have more grip, such as vinyl. Because if you try to sew it with your regular zigzag foot or whatever, it's probably going to skip stitches. But if you don't want to buy any of that, or you just want to try something before you decide to invest money into press your foot or whatever, take a piece of Scotch tape, like regular Scotch tape, can be from the dollar store, but make sure it's the kind that is matte, not the shiny kind, because the shiny kind can also make it skip. So I'm just going to grab a regular old presser foot. I don't even know what this presser foot is for, but I have tape. It is the non-shiny tape, and just take a small piece, stick it to the back, and take something sharp and pointy and cut out where the holes are in your foot. I mean, you don't have to do that because your needle's going to go through it and puncture a hole anyway, but that'll also help. For vinyl straps, I have found that a walking foot is easier for me. I have to rip out stitches less that way, and you don't really want to be ripping out stitches in vinyl because you'll see all the holes. And by the way, all my machines are domestics, so I don't have any industrials, semi-industrials, no giant machine that, you know, can go through anything. So all the tips that I'm giving you are ones that I learned the hard way. So when you cut out the pieces, you assemble them together. There are, of course, you can use pins. I suggest you use glass head pins because you can iron over them when you press your fabric and it will not melt, unlike the plastic ended ones. You can use your typical Wonder Clip or Wonder Clip knockoff. You can use binder clips. You can use snap clips, like, you know, just plain ones that you would get to put in your hair when you were 8. Or these kind of alligator duckbill like clips. These are my favorite. And you want double-sided tape. Double-sided tape will also help you when you're doing straps. So this is my roll of double-sided tape. I got this from a while back. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Wawak, whatever it is, you know what I'm talking about. It is called leather tape undersight, and it is super, 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 super sticky. So try to keep this out of where your needle is going to go because it will gum it up, but it definitely stays. If you use something else like, what is it? Wonder tape? Can't remember what the name is. It is thinner, but it does not hold as well, especially with thicker or heavier materials. And the last one for keeping things together is a stapler. So you can staple your seams. So think of it as basting it, but with a stapler. Go through and stitch after the stapler and then take the staples off. Because once you turn it inside out or right side out, nobody's going to see it anyway. And I like the handheld ones better than the ones that you have to put on a table and press. Needles. There are lots and lots of types of needles. So these ones are by Schmetz. They are relatively new. I randomly saw them at Joann and I picked one up, half off of course. These are vinyl needles, and I love on the packaging it says super universal. So it comes in different sizes, from 70-10 all the way to 100/16, and these are non-stick. So on the back it says super non-stick needles for vinyl and adhesive back fabrics. Reduces sticky needles when working with fusibles. Used for machine embroidery, applique, and hoop and loop tape. Don't know what that is, but haven't really tried them out yet. I forgot to mention with the presser feet, you could also use I think this is a Gina-majig. It is a plastic piece where when you come across a hump and say you're sewing something thick like this. So you were sewing this and then you get to something thicker, so your foot goes up. When your foot points up, that is when you get skipped stitches. So what you do with the Gina-majig is, as it is pointing up, this is really hard for me to show. So as it's pointing up right here, you take the Gina-majig, you put it on the back so that it feeds through, and you see how it leveled out the foot? That is what this is for. Other things that are nice to have, an awl, not an owl, awl. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong. This is one that I got, I think it's Singer. It's an ergonomical one, but just pointy end, good for punching holes or even feeding through things through your machine when you don't want to get your fingers too close. The cap also has this little rubbery stiletto looking thing. That's to feed through your machine. This is a seam roller. This one is by Singer. Got this at Joann's. I got this when I was only sewing apparel, and honestly I did not use it at all with apparel because I like to sew knits and I don't press. But this comes in handy when you're doing purses. So this is a good alternative to using a rubber mallet, except the rubber mallet is obviously going to be stronger and heavier than this little plastic wheel that you roll through it. This is a bamboo point turner. They also come in plastic. I like the bamboo because if I have to put it in my bag and press on the other side, it's not going to melt. This is a clapper, Taylor's clapper. It is just a heavy piece of wood that you can also use to bang your seams. Somebody please tell me what this is really for. I don't know why I have one. This is a seam roll. This is typically used when you're doing something like a sleeve and you need to press the inside of a sleeve or whatever, but it's good for if you're doing like narrow bags or like maybe a little pouch or something too. This is a tailor's ham. It is wider. It is shaped like a ham. And this is kind of used the same way. It's just a different shape. If you don't have an ironing board, don't want to move your ironing board, don't want to get an ironing board, get one of these. This is just like a regular ironing mat. Get this off Amazon. It's nice, compact. I just put it on the floor and iron on there. So you can use a regular iron. I actually have a 9x12 heat press that I use. Not necessary, so don't go buy one just because I said, you know, that's what I use. But I really like this. This is a steam fast mini iron. It is available on Amazon, will be linked as well, but I believe it is cheaper at Walmart. So I think I had one and then I lost one and then I bought another one. So this one's like smaller than my hand, and I have pretty small hands. But it is really good for getting into the smaller bags, especially after you've already sewn the 3 sides and you can only get in on one side. And it's just easier to maneuver than a regular clunky iron. Other random things. This is Odie Coat. I have yet to use it, but it is a waterproof gel coating that I know a lot of bag makers can put on the outside of their bag, especially if they use something like Quilting Cotton in order to make it more durable and stain resistant. And then the other thing is a steamer. So I forgot to grab mine, but I have a regular handheld travel steamer. Good for like vinyl, leather, cork, things that you can't really press. So you just use a lot of steam. And oh hey, this is when you can use this thing. So use a lot of steam and then use this to kind of press it down until the material cools down and it'll hold the shape a little better. Thank you, Darlene. Yes, so the clapper has no finish, so it can absorb moisture from the iron for crisp seams, pleats, and creases. The wood is heavy and close grained. Yes, that is very true. Like, you can't see like any ridges or anything in there. My cat is outside the door meowing. She can hear me talking. And now we are at the first step of making bags. So getting started with patterns. So once you actually pick out the pattern that you want, you print it out, right? But within the last year, there's been this new trend. If you guys haven't noticed, it is projecting. So projecting your patterns. And I actually do that. Unfortunately, our bag makers have not yet gotten on there with making projector patterns or even A0 patterns, just because most of their pieces aren't that big anyway. But where is it? So there is a group that I will also link. It's called Projectors for Sewing, and you will be able to just go through and learn a lot about what kind of projector you need, what kind of, you know, mount you can get, different options if you don't want to drill holes in your wall, yada yada yada. There's a lot of really, really helpful people on there. Seriously, where is it? Okay, so just to show you guys real quick. Turn off the light for a sec. And so I took the pieces from the letter size pattern and I put it together on an app. I either use GIMP or Netscape, pieced them together, and made sure that my zoom was set correctly so that an inch on the projector is an actual inch in real life. and I just cut this way. So the great thing about this is you won't have to sit there and transfer all your markings over. Makes it really easy for fussy cutting if you're trying to conserve your precious fabric. And then another tip, I have a piece of, sorry about the glare, sheet metal underneath my cutting mat, and I use magnets to hold down my fabric. And then when I'm done, just pick them back up. Oof. And so for storage, I have this file expanding folder. It's vertical, which I prefer over horizontal for some reason. I don't know why. And each little thing has its own printed patterns, because sometimes I do print patterns if I'm too lazy to use my computer to piece together things. But so like this is for the Della wallet clutch. If I had printed this on a regular sheet of paper, it probably would have fallen apart by now. Probably would have stepped on it. My cat probably would have been chasing it around the room. Whatever. So this is on cardstock. You can see it is heavier. The trick is finding cardstock that is heavy enough that will not jam up your printer. If you don't already have one and you're looking at getting a printer, I suggest that you look at getting a laser printer. Laser printers are a lot more economical. The toner can print out a lot more pages than your regular inkjet printers, and you don't have to replace the toner as much. The downside is the toner generally costs more than the ink when you buy it initially, but I think it's worth it when you print. Okay, so I have been talking for literally the last hour. Oh, I wanted to show you guys something cool. So I got this in the mail today, and it is pretty much my favorite thing in the world right now. One, it's orange, my favorite color. But two, it's a vacuum. So you can plug it in with your USB, charge it, and push the button on the side, and it actually vacuums. So this is really good for getting my table after I've been sewing and there's thread all over it. Little bits of interfacing, little bits of fabric, whatever it is. So this is my favorite random purchase that has nothing to do with sewing. Found my other thread option. And then this is Gutermann. This is not their sew all thread. This is their top stitching thread. So it's thicker, but this is 100% polyester. And then this is from Wawak. This is their nylon, bonded nylon thread on the smaller size, and it comes in a wooden spool. It is also thicker, and I think this size is $4.95, something like that. I think I paid $23 or something for this. But he does have a big variety of colors, and I believe the bonded nylon or Tech 70 comes in 2 different sizes as well. Alright, I am tired of talking. Does anybody have any questions? Do you need clarification on anything? Do you need to see something else? What does something else look like? I'll give you guys a sec to be able to type it out. Oh, you're welcome. I really hope that it helped you guys because it took me a long time to even feel anywhere near comfortable with trying to attempt a pattern at all. I did a lot of reading, did a lot of stalking on Facebook, just in groups that I'm in, nothing crazy, before I even felt comfortable enough to look at putting together anything. The first zipper that I ever put in was actually on a bag. I'd never put in a zipper before that. Oh, I forgot. I had, Kenya told you about cutting neatly. So, I always have a, where is it? A ruler. And I will use my rotary cutter. This one actually works best because then you can actually see the blade instead of your hand blocking the blade. And I cut alongside the blade. Or the ruler, sorry, in order to get straight lines. If you don't want to do that directly onto the fabric, you can use your ruler to draw a line on the wrong side of your fabric first, and then go through and cut. If you have things that require a lot of straight lines, or if you're cutting a lot of bias tape, or if you were making a lot of masks like we all were a few months ago, you can get one of these. This is by Fiskars. I got mine at Joann, I think. And it's a ruler that has a rotary cutter attached. So you can use this to measure. Would be great for straps. Like I said, bias tape, so it would be good for piping as well. Anything that needs a straight line or many straight lines. Val, I got my little vacuum from Amazon, and I will be adding that to, I think it is on my list, but like I said, everything that we talked about is going to be discussed on the sheet that I'm uploading, and there are links to virtually everything that I talked about. And if there isn't, or you have any questions, feel free to make a post, tag me in it, reply to this page or my original post, message me, whatever. But if you message me and we're not friends, I might not see it. So usually tagging me is better. Wendy, I do usually use... Hopefully I'm still connected. Wendy, I usually use both top and bobbin for any thread. So I don't use different for basically virtually any reason. I know some people do. Huh. My laptop says I'm offline, but my phone doesn't say I'm offline, so sorry if this is not working. But like I said, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out. Any of us would be more than willing to help you out. and good luck. I hope I helped some of you get a little more confidence to start your first bag. Have a good night.